Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spell Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've already covered all of this week's Marvel books as well as this week's offering from Boom Studios. Now on to this week's DC books, starting with Batman, Urban Legends #4. Now, this is actually the first time I ever do this because I felt I needed. I had. There's a quote on the back of which every issue of this on the rear cover, and that one, that hit me so hard to read. Neither of us lived with the idea of Batman and Robin. So, Cheer, we pick up on Cheer once again. Red Hood and Batman have both been tracking a drug in Gotham called Cheer Drops. It appears to be related to Scarecrow's fear toxin. And early on in the story, Red Hood killed a dealer, and tried to do right by the dealer's kid. In his investigation, he ran afoul of Mr. Freeze and been frozen in place. We start with a flashback to death in the family. Jason talking about how he'd always been an orphan, but now suddenly he finds out his mother's alive. Punches the Joker, and he'd always been really bad at following directions. And so when Batman told him to stay in place, what did Batman expect him to do? But so he tries to get away from Mr. Freeze, but more flashbacks to death in the family, including Jason being found by the Joker. But before being frozen by Freeze, Red Hood contacts Oracle, tells him he needs Batman, who is investigating a young woman on Cheer Drops. And adding that that Jason asked for Batman in particular. And we get Batman's viewpoint from the ending of Death in the Family and finding Jason. But he deals with Mr. Freeze, rescues Jason, manages to thaw him out, But the guy in charge of the whole Cheer Drops operation is working with Freeze and gets the drop on Batman. Next up, we have a Batwing story called Superman Punch. Batwing's doing his bit, going through, he's dealing with the Riddler. Actually, kind of being kept on his toes, but he's actually but he's still doing really well. However, it's taking him some work to track down the. He's having to really work hard with the current Riddle, but he ends up going to have to face Killer Croc. But he's trying to go easy on Croc because he realizes Croc probably wasn't the there's a lot to Croc where he's more than just a scaly brute. But realizing that so he's trying, but he uses what's called a Superman Punch, where he basically fires a bat line into a wall, and basically tries to kind of flop, jump up and punch. But he makes a deal with Croc. Croc takes him to Enigma's hideout, and Croc gets a head start. Even saying, he's bringing in Enigma tonight. He ain't bringing in Croc. So we get a new beginning of a Tim Drake story. Some of Our Parts, Chapter 1. Tim Drake, the third Robin, is on a case. He's a bunch of kids have been kidnapped. It's hard. He's trying to get information, but that said, he's meeting someone for dinner. So meets his friend, and then the kidnapper actually shows up. Guy calls himself the Chaos Monster. Tim tries to deal with him, but is promptly taken down. When he comes to, his friend Bernard's been taken prisoner. Finally, we've got The Long Con, Part 4. Turns out that Grifter was supposed to be approached by Leviathan, was anticipating being approached by Leviathan, and he discusses this with his, presumably with Marlowe, who's in charge of Halo. But that was 6 months ago. In the present, we've got him fighting Deathstroke. But it turns out it's all to get Batman's attention. Lucius Fox calls him, but his chief of security is still still not convinced that Grifter should be Fox's bodyguard. But anyway, it turns out that the fight between Deathstroke and Grifter is a ruse to drop, like I said, to drop Batman, and they're building a trap for him. However, it's not Batman who shows up. It's Superman. Which pretty much has Deathstroke saying, okay, you're on your own, pal. However, the Wayne Industries function that Lucius and Bruce are both at is attacked by terrorists. Bruce offers himself up, but they want Fox. Meanwhile, Grifter's trying to get away from Superman. However, it turns out that the Wayne Industries building is shielded against teleporters. So Void can't teleport him in. But things are happening, and it's suggested that they, and so Grifter suggests that they get Z there. And yes, it's Zealot, who kills the two terrorists who caught up with Fox and his head of security rather quickly. Superman very nearly catches up with Grifter, however, that's the point when Void is able to teleport him away. However, Superman thinks that Batman's underestimating Grifter and that he's dangerous, but Batman says that, that's what you used to say about me. But yeah, Batman intends to handle him. And that is where the issue ends. Which, honestly, solid issue as usual. I swear, the Red Hood story and the Grifter story are, like, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and both absolutely amazing. Because, I mean, you've got just all the emotion of, Jason and Batman's strained relationship in the Red Hood Batman story. Then you've got Grifter being, well, Grifter in his story, this is one of the books I look forward to every month just for that reason. And it's been announced already that I think starting with issue 6, which would be where the issue after the long con wraps up, we're getting a Zealot story. So, huzzah! Moving on, we've got Detective number 1037. Where we left off, Huntress had found Huntress and Batman were now working together on investigating the death of Sarah Worth, in part because it was Huntress getting involved because she thinks it might be related to a case that she's working on. And they came across Neil Betterman, dead. But something strange going on with his eyes. and yet another of Bruce's neighbors has been murdered. But yeah, Batman is brought in. Sarah Ward's father comes in, demanding answers from the mayor, but the mayor's like, hey, we'll keep you apprised of what's going on. And one of the mayor's people, who's definitely got whatever's going on, who is also infected with whatever these parasites are, deals with someone in an alley, and well, yeah, his he's whatever's happening to him, it's happening much bigger than just messed up eyes. But Bruce, while in holding, Bruce has to call his lawyer, but he's been informed there's a hold. There's a hold on it just for a moment. As Sarah Ward's father gets rocket launcher set up and fires at the precinct, blowing it up. Bruce survives, runs to the sewers for cover as he does end into one of his mini caves where he changes. However, Worth is following. Of course, he doesn't find Bruce Wayne in the sewers. He finds Batman. We get our backup story is a one-off called Gotham Has Heart, focusing on Deb Donovan, one of Bruce's neighbors. She's at a yet another public thing, public affair for the paper, making comments about who all's there, and she snags a bottle of booze, and basically kind of everyone's got their basically these charity events, they're kind of terrible. What they're benefiting is good, but a lot of it is just the people of the money to people of Gotham, basically showing them saying, look, see, I care about this thing. And they usually do care because it affected them personally. Like Roland Worth, whose daughter died from complications of a congenital heart defect. Mayor Nakano, whose former partner died in an explosion during the Joker War. Lucius Fox. The idea being is everyone has an innocent, even if they're not that innocent. But yeah, she's heading home though. Someone passes by on a motorcycle, causing her to lose her balance, and she drops the bottle of booze she snagged from the party. We got another backup story. This one called 3 Minutes. The early days of Batman and Robin, as well as Lucius Fox at working as Batman's armorer. Batman and Robin are pinned down by gunfire, but they need a way to get through. But the only thing all they've got is they could push the overcharge the turbines of the Batmobile. Limited EMP blast will shut down the electronics that the gunmen have. 3 minutes tops, but it'll kill their comms. So Alfred and Lucius discuss everything. And we kind of get some retconning of Dick Grayson's past before he was taken by Bruce. But of course, Batman and Robin triumph, and Lucius decides that he will stay on as the armorer, not for Batman's sake, but for the sake of young Dick Grayson and whoever comes after him. And that is where the issue ends. Another solid, good, solid book. One of the things that I am enjoying about Detective is that we're going more into Bruce's new status quo. The Batman solo book really hasn't been going into that like at all. It's been more about him tracking down, but I don't mind. But it is nice to see that the whole point was made. Okay, we're changing the status quo with Batman, and at least they're trying to make a point of acknowledging this. Which brings us to our next title, Batman the Detective, number 3. Where we left off, Batman had tracked down Henry Ducard because he was trying to prevent the eventual murders of people who've been saved by Batman. However, Ducard was tracked down by those trying to kill him, or trying to kill those that have been saved by Batman, and is shot multiple times. He does manage to take some of them with him, but yeah. The issue begins. Batman brings him to a hospital. We get some flashbacks as to when Ducard and Bruce first met when he was a kid. They worked together for a while, with Bruce helping Ducard bring out an accountant for multiple crime families who's nigh impossible to track down. They got him, though. And while the man was torturing Bruce, Ducard burst in and freed Bruce, and then killed the guy right in front of Bruce, which, yeah, that's it. For Bruce, that was a no-go. But Ducard managed to get away. They ran into each other again in London, and well, there was a misunderstanding, as Batman did find Ducard over a dead body, so he didn't kill the guy. He's also trying to defuse the bomb that was set. This is also, however, when Batman discovered the underground hospital. But the cops show up at Bruce Wayne's hotel room and take him to custody because they have questions about what happened with Ducard, who sadly did not survive surgery. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next book, Future State Gotham, number 2. Where we left off, Red Hood had been recruited as a peacekeeper, Peacekeeper Red, after an explosion in Gotham left a bat-shaped crater. Turns out that the rest of the Bat Family, though, they weren't too keen on seeing Jason. So, yeah. He ends up having to fight the Bat Family, the Resistance, and he manages to he's not trying to hurt them. He's just trying to, but yeah, he's trying to he's obviously the explosion being blamed on the new Batman, but he knows it's not him. But there's a anti-authoritarian group that pops up. They're trying, or protest that pops up, and the magistrate shows up to disperse it. And someone who's not fond of either Capes or the magistrate. But Jason talks with his shadowy contact, and We find out his contact this whole time has been Bruce Wayne. But Tim and Dick talk about their recent running with Jason, kind of thinking maybe they are going a little too hard, but yeah. But they do kind of see it as Jason siding with the enemy. Anyway, Jason slips into Blackgate to speak with Astrid Arkham as the Arkham Knights are all being kept there. However, something goes wrong. The new Batman does show up. He and Jason fight it, duke it out, when the cells are all opened, releasing the rest of the Arkham Knights. And there is a backup story, but it's one we've actually gone over before, a few weeks ago. The Cavalry from Batman Black and White, about 2 months or so ago. So yeah, there's no point in going back over that one. The A story was great. Honestly, both stories were great, but I was just perturbed. I'm a little perturbed by the fact that they reused a story from Batman Black and White just to pad out this issue. Otherwise, good, solid book. Just a little irritating. Moving on to our next book, we've got Justice League Last Ride, number 2. Where we left off in this Justice League alternate reality book, the Green Lanterns wanted the Justice League to keep Lobo safe to stand trial. But they couldn't do so on Earth. They needed to do so elsewhere. Well, Batman said there's only one place they could reliably keep him safe. Apocalypse. That said, this is also the first time in years the Justice League have been back together. So we get some flashbacks to the League's assault on Apocalypse. Wonder Woman fighting Granny Goodness and the Furies. An attempt at evacuating Earth. Martian Manhunter and Batman trying to stop things. Also, it is implied that a boom tube takes out Aquaman. Superman dealing with threats on Oa when Darkseid himself shows up. Having just finished killing the rest of the Guardians. In the present, the League is on their way to Apocalypse and trying to avoid detection. Flash is a little put off by Batman, but, well... And he accuses Wonder Woman of being, and the League of being weak for not solving the problem they've got the way he would, permanently. But a distress call gets picked up, so Superman goes to deal with it. Ship being pulled into a black hole. Superman manages to get it out of there with an assist from Hal Jordan. And then they head towards the... However, the League then makes their way into orbit around Apocalypse. And Batman states that while Apocalypse is mostly dormant, they still do need to be on alert. Though Lobo points out that while he does love to be the one doing the killing, it's going to be real fun getting a front row seat to watching the League die. That is where the issue ends. It's fun. I'm digging the book. It's doing alternate reality storytelling right or alternate future storytelling right by kind of giving you glimpses of what led to this point. So yeah, I'm digging it. I really am. Which brings us to our next book, Rorschach. I think we're at numbers. Damn it. Rorschach number 9. So our investigative lead is still investigating the farmland that Myers and the kid had in New Mexico. We see flashbacks to what happened there with the kid taking shots at their target, and Myerson discussing that they probably need to try it differently. But going with the kid's theory of the Minutemen having disappeared and their souls being reborn in the souls of others, she thinks that she thinks that the politician they're going after is basically the reborn comedian. She seems to imply that maybe the politician they're going after is the reborn comedian. Having basically done up the comedian's badge in the ground. But the investigator investigates further, and he notices something. And there are gaps between the wall and the carpet. So he pulls up the carpeting and discovers a rather large bloodstain on the floor. And a bullet hole in the wall. Someone was shot there. Where was the body hidden, you might ask? In the septic tank. On him they find a pager. Calls on it. So last page is responded to. And it's someone working for for Redford's re-election campaign. It's the office of the deputy campaign manager. And so more questions arise. Which is of course where the issue ends. Which brings us to our final book of the week, American Vampire 1976, number 9. Where we left off, Skinner, who had gone to hide in a bunker, survived the end of the world that way, and it was starting. The Beast's forces were on the hunt. Pearl is trying to do her best to try to save the world, but they discover that the Beast has taken a human form already. Jim Book. And then, so yeah, things go from bad to worse. That said, Travis, doing his best, Travis Bickle, gets all the Carpathians under now that he has the blood of Dracula flowing through him, he gets the Carpathians on his side, and they go for their assault, using basically ramming a truck into the Beast. However, the mouth stops it. That said, turns out, while Skinner initially did mean to hide in a bunker, he couldn't manage to do that. He had to go and save everyone's skins with a bomb, which he promptly slammed into the face of the Beast. But all he's really started to do is make the Beast mad. And then the flower he got in the cave, Skinner got in the cave, begins to glow. And the issue ends with Skinner being transformed into a monster the same size as the Beast, by the flower. And that is where the issue and this week's roundup ends. Definitely be a fun conclusion. Next month's issue will be the final issue. All in all, good week for DC books, good week for Marvel, good week for comic books. Anyway, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.